This is computer-generated chess problem 01462 by Chesthetica. Now in this position, white has a queen, but black has sufficient material such that he is only about one pawn unit down. The queen on g7 is also in a position to be captured by the knight on e8. Not to mention the knight on b4 is threatened by the rook on b5. Now you might think you know how to proceed from here, but can you see the mate in 4? The solution to this problem might surprise you. Notice also how the rook on f4 is being threatened by the bishop on c1. Black also has his knight on f1 in a position to be captured by the rook. Maybe that's the move. Maybe this is what white should play. But then the queen would be lost. And if the queen needs to move, where should the queen move? Should the queen capture this pawn and maybe risk losing the knight or risk losing the rook? It's quite common in chess for positions to become very complicated, but I'll walk you through it. So queen to a1 check also works, but this is a mate in 6 moves. The mate in 4, the shortest mate, is what we're interested in, and that is the quiet queen to c3. Now this sets up for a discovered check when the knight moves. So if king to b6, queen to c6 check, the king has to move back to a5, and then queen captures a6 mate. So black cannot play king to b6. What happens if black plays d4? Then surprisingly, white simply sacrifices the queen, knight discovered check. The pawn captures the queen but clears the way for the rook to checkmate on a4. Notice how the knight on d5 also guards the b6 square. And if rook to b4, queen captures b4 mate. But there's a stronger move, bishop to d2. What is white going to do now? Well, the same thing. Knight captures d5, sacrificing the queen again. If bishop captures c3, then we have as before rook to a4 mate. So rook to b4. And now, if queen captures rook, then after bishop captures queen, there is no clear win. In fact, it's possible the game could be a draw. So white plays queen to c5 check, the rook intervenes, and then white wins either with queen to a3 mate or rook to a4 mate. Notice how in this original position, if queen captures a7, if black plays rook to b6, suddenly this game is undecided as well. In fact, white could even lose. Black is not going to capture this knight because of queen to c5 check, rook to b5, and rook to a4 mate. So capturing the pawn on a7, queen captures a7. Notice how the queen here was under attack from the knight, so queen captures a7. This would seem like a viable move to many players. And yet it is a mistake because of rook to b6 check. So once again, I'll show you the solution. You can test this with your friends. If any one of them would be able to solve this, find the mate in 4 in this original position. Chances are they wouldn't be able to see it. It's queen to c3, bishop to d2, knight captures d5, this amazing move, rook to b4, queen to c5 check, rook to b5, and then rook to a4 checkmate. A computer composed this entirely on its own. How's that for computational creativity? Thank you for watching.